and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. You guys know who I am. I'm Dr. Angela Chester, and you know what I'd like to do on my show. I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on a fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my topic and about my guest. Today, we are talking about staying positive in a negative world. My guest today is Sally Watts. And not only are we going to talk about the topic, we're also going to talk a little bit about her book. So you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Sally. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark TV.
Hi, Dr. Angela. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to join you.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you are able to be with me here today. And I can't wait to share your book as well as this topic with our viewers. I did have the pleasure of interviewing you for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela for radio program. So I'm so happy to be able to share you with our TV audience today. Now, just in case there are some folks that are unfamiliar with you or with your work, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into the topic?
Well, I live in Estero, Florida, and I did write a book called Blemished But Not Broken back in 2017. And I currently work as a director of membership for a country club, which I thoroughly enjoy. I'm happily married to a husband for 27 years, and I love traveling and new experiences, exercising, prayer and meditation, a number of fitness-related activities. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned all of those things, because I think in some way, shape, or part, they help us to stay positive and to keep us moving in that positive momentum. So I love that. Speaking of staying positive, when we talk about that, or when someone brings up that topic, what does staying positive mean to you?
Well, Dr. Angela, staying positive actually is my lifestyle. It means everything to me. From the time that I get up in the morning and everything that I do, I am constantly working on staying positive. I get up at 5:30 in the morning and go to the gym and work out to get my energy flowing. And then come home and meditate and pray, which is very important. And so I'm constantly thinking about how and what I do is going to make a difference in the world, not just personally, but with all the people that I interact with. As I mentioned, I am a director of membership at a club, and I am around people all day long and interacting with them. And I certainly can't go to work with a negative attitude. I have to, share light and joy with them and help to make their day a pleasant experience. So.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I find that people that really make being positive a part of their daily routine, that they're very mindful of making it a part of who they are, part of their characteristics. It really makes a difference in how you choose to look at the world and interact with the world. And I love that you say, I'm around people all the time, and I need to have that positivity that precedes you. People do want to interact with positive people. People do want to go somewhere and say, wow, I'm so glad that I met with her, or that I spent some time with her, or had an opportunity to ask her some questions. So you are so right there. I know that I'm thinking of how so many times we go to certain places and people will say, the people at that place are just so grumpy. Why are they so grumpy? And it's true. You can really tell the difference in someone's disposition right off the bat. It really does have an effect. Now, you said a very important thing, and that is prayer and meditation. I am someone who believes that we should spend a portion of our day in prayer and meditation. And that can mean different things to different people. So I want to ask you, why is prayer and meditation important to you? And when you use those words, prayer, conversation with God, meditation, being still and quieting our mind, is that the definition that we should understand?
I believe that it is. I feel that way. I feel that it's a personal conversation with God every morning and every night, or whenever. It can be any time through the day. But to me, it's so important because I know just from past experience that if I go through that process every day and have that conversation with God, I know that when a troubling or a challenging time comes for me, that it will be so much easier, that my faith will be so much stronger, and that I've relied on help to get me through those times. And so it just really reinforces that for me. I just talk with him, and then I know that it helps to answer questions that I might be facing or struggling with, and helping me to get through those times. And it's very important. And just that quiet time to hear yourself also, to know that, okay, I have this situation coming up and how am I going to handle that? And then I find that's when I'll get those answers, because I take the time to listen.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I feel that many times people are frightened by the word meditation. They believe that it is something that it is not. And just using it, like you said, as that quiet time. I know that many times in that stillness that you mentioned, in that quiet, boy, are we able to hear ourselves think, but we're also able to hear from God when we're away from all of those distractions. So you are so right there. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Now, there are a few, speaking of environments, there's a few environments that I would like to ask you. What is your suggestion, or what are some things that you may do, or you may have heard some really great suggestions from a friend or a family member of what they would do in the situation. And I'd love for you to share. So staying positive in the environment of the workplace. How do we stay positive while we're at work? Many people have physically gone back to work. Some are still working from home, but I'm talking about that going back to your desk away from home. How do we stay positive there?
Well, at my workplace, I am actually a manager. And so part of my responsibility is help to keep other people positive, my coworkers. And one of the things that we did was create a bulletin board. And on that bulletin board, we have a positivity corner. And so we post positive sayings like smile, keep moving forward, be kind, and so forth. And then put employee appreciation, little articles and stories and so forth to help motivate our staff. And then I also write articles for the community about kindness and positivity, and put that out to not only the staff members, but the club members that are at the club there. And I just try to engage my coworkers in talking about themselves rather than talking at them. I ask questions about their day and some of the highlights of their day and what's going on with them, rather than kind of, coming up to them and just starting to rant or talk about something that happened that, wasn't so pleasant or whatever, just to kind of keep it on the positive side of things.
Oh, I love, love, love what you are doing. And that really makes such a difference because, we always talk about how an idea or a particular protocol starts at the head and works its way down. And I find that when we have positive managers, positive supervisors, those that are in leadership roles, when they take a positive stance, then the people who report to them, they too have a more positive stance. So you are so right there. I love that you are doing it. I would definitely fill out a card and say kudos to Sally for doing this because I find that it is very important to keep that environment and that atmosphere. I love that idea. I'm pretty sure someone just wrote that down and they are going to have a positive corner board at work. I know that's going to happen. Now, another place that many times we don't think about staying positive or being aware of what our disposition is because we are home. But I know that I encourage my clients to make home your oasis. So that means that we do need to be mindful of what we're doing at home, the same way that we would be mindful of what we're doing in the workplace or anywhere else. What are some suggestions or things that you found to keep the spirits on a positive side when you're at home?
Well, a couple of things that my husband and I have done is we've decided to limit social media and limit the amount of news that we're watching because it does tend to be on the negative side of things these days. And so it just helps us not to dwell or obsess about some things that are happening in the world. So we, just watch small bits and pieces of it so that we know what's going on, but not enough that we become obsessive about it. And just try to keep our home as our sacred little space that we know that we can feel comfortable and safe in, and kind of block out the noise of too much coming at you, too much social media, too much of the negative, and just kind of focus on the positive.
I agree with you, Sally. I found that I started doing the same thing, and it really did change even the atmosphere of the room. I used to, at one point, if I would just put the news on just to kind of have background noise when I would work from home, just a little bit of talking, and then I found that I was drawn in. And I would go, oh my gosh, that's happening, and that's happening, and that's happening. And then it would be really hard for me to be that positive person that I wanted to be because it was such heavy news that was being told to me throughout the day. Once I snipped that, I found that it did make a difference on those days where I was able to work from home. So you are so right there. Turn that down and listen to something much more positive. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, many times when we talk about the next location, we don't think of personally many times creating an atmosphere, but more so we create an atmosphere as a collective. But I think that each person who is sitting in a pew makes a difference, and that location is church. How do we make sure that we are staying as positive as we can when we're in our house of worship?
Well, I like to think that a smile is is your way of bringing a spark or a light to the world. Is just sometimes it doesn't even have to be a verbal communication. You can smile with your eyes, give somebody a big smile, a warm greeting, encouraging words. That goes a long way, I believe. And I know it's been a little bit difficult. Some people have still been attending church via Zoom and haven't been able to physically be in church. So just trying to maybe connect through the telephone, giving somebody a call and just checking on them to see how they're doing and tell them that they miss seeing them, and or write them a little card or a little note, and just let them know that they're being thought of. And I think that's an important way of keeping a positive aspect to it, even if you can't be there in person. But if you are in person, certainly engaging other people in the most positive way that you can.
Yeah. You're definitely on the right path, at least in my mind. I find that to be so true, that when you have that positive greeter, or I know different churches call it different things, a greeter or an usher, I believe, that person who says hello when you walk into the church, it's really nice to get that positive person there. Or when you're passing the peace, you're so right, just to be able, even if you just kind of wave from your side of the church, just making that connection. And you're right, I think that as we start to come out of many of the COVID protocols, for those that are still dealing with that, we'll be able to make those connections more. And boy, has virtual church been a saving grace for so many people. That has been a way that they've been able to connect. But I like the last thing you said: do a note, write a note. I think we've forgotten, in the world of technology, how to send each other cards. That was something that we did when I was a little girl. And I think it's really great now to get a little note card in the mail that says, "I'm thinking of you." So you're right there. That's a great suggestion. Now, speaking of out and about, many have gone out to social gatherings. Where they live, the protocols are eased, and they're able to go out and kind of have fun, the way it was prior to dealing with the pandemic. What are some ways that we can stay positive when we are in those social gatherings? Should a bit of tension perhaps come up?
Well, I think diversion is always, if something arises, I'm just always one to kind of divert and maybe change the subject in a polite way to something more positive, because I think part of staying positive is to avoid like negative places, things, and people. So if things tend to lean towards a conversation that could cause some tension or friction, it can get a little testy, is just a kind of diversion. Oh, did you hear about this positive thing that happened, and keep it light. I think we've all been under so much stress related to the pandemic and all the things that are happening in the world. And so a social gathering is something that should be light and fun, and a time to celebrate and live in that moment and be happy and grateful for being able to be out and be with your family and friends. And so keep it more on the light side of things is my suggestion.
Absolutely. I could not agree. I could not agree with you more. And I think about my own personal social gatherings that we have on, and my friends, or the people that I'm with, are as diverse as the people that God has created. And I think that we are at that point as well, where we know what subjects may actually cause a little bit of friction. So it's like you just don't go there. And I could not agree with you more. When you feel that the energy is starting to change, that folks are starting to kind of look around the room, it's time to talk about something positive. So you are so right there. So I love that suggestion. We do not want our real world to turn into a reality show, right? And it's just like, oh no, we don't want to go there. So I love that. I love that suggestion. Now, the last one is, in general, there are so many people that are going to watch and say, I love what you ladies are saying, that we should take that extra effort and, just do what needs to be done to make sure it stays positive. But I'm having a really tough go at it. And I don't know what I need to do to change to get myself in a more positive headspace. I know that I personally am the type that listens to music, or I may light a candle, or I may do some self care, something like treat myself to, a coffee out and about at my favorite little coffee house or something like that, that just kind of changes up what I'm doing. Are there any particular things in general that you do that help keep you in that positive headspace?
Well, I just started to learn something new. I started what is called Qigong, which is a Chinese healing. When I started learning a little bit more about it by reading and watching some YouTube videos. So it's just a 10-minute little energy booster to get your energy up and going in a positive direction. And then I also, if I feel stressed, I just like to get in the car and take a little drive around the block and get out of the house or out of the area in which that you are in, and just to change the environment and the space. And ironically, in preparation for this interview, I asked some of my Facebook friends what they would do to help themselves be positive. And a lot of the responses were what you had mentioned, plus like gardening, painting, reading, just being grateful and living in the moment, and appreciating everything that you are fortunate to have, because there are so many people that are less fortunate, and just being appreciative of your being here and being alive. And so there's so many different ways: relaxation, sound healing, music, that can help you to keep a positive vibration about yourself.
You are so right there. I find that when I am out in the garden, be it that it is with flowers or that it's with our beautiful fruits and veggies, it is such a calming place. And I think that we just innately feel connected to God in that moment. There's something about having your hands in the soil and just spending time, perhaps because your mind is also quiet. You're not being bombarded with all the stuff of the world, and you're able to really just feel God in that moment, even though you may not know what you're feeling. What I choose to believe is that we are just connecting to God in a different way, and that we're able to just have that peace and that disconnect from the stuff going on. So I couldn't agree with your Facebook friends more. I think that you're definitely on to something when you're able to do that. But I love how you said having that gratefulness. I know that's something I talk about, having an attitude of gratitude and just choosing to be thankful for the all that we have, because we are so blessed to have everything that we have, and we should not take that for granted. So you are so right there. What a positive place for us to take a very short break. But when we get back, Sally, I definitely want to spend some time with you and talk about your book. So viewers, don't you go anywhere. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. So Sally, I want to talk to you about your book. So I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit. You have written a book entitled Blemished But Not Broken. First of all, I have to say, love the title. How did you come about the title?
Well, Dr. Angela, the title came about in an interesting manner, actually. I prior to writing my book, I had made a visit to an astrologer because I was kind of seeking some answers about my life. And I happened into a mystic fair with a friend, and he was a palm reader and an astrologer. And he looked at my hand, and on my hand, there was a small blemish that I had really never noticed before. And he immediately said to me, "You have not written your book. Why have you not written your book?" And I was astounded because all of my life I had wanted to write this book because I felt that I had a story to share and I felt that it could help others. And he said, "You need to write your book, and I'll tell you why you haven't written it, because you actually need to speak it first." And so he told me how to go about writing it. And so I went home and I went about starting my book. And as I was thinking about the title one day at my desk, I looked at my hand and I saw that blemish. And I thought, well, we're all blemished in some way or another. But then I thought a little bit more about it, and I thought, but even though I'm blemished, I'm not broken. I am still here. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm living my purpose. And so that's kind of how the title came about, Blemished but Not Broken. And
Love it. I love it. Now, if there is one piece of advice that you would give to someone that perhaps is the child or simply the loved one of someone who is dealing with mental illness, what is that piece of advice that you would give to them?
I would really want to let them know that they're not alone, that there are other people that have experienced similar situations, and that it's okay to talk about it with a trusted person, that you don't really need to hold it up inside of you, that this has happened to you, or this is in your family, or this experience took place. And unfortunately, I held all of that inside for many, many years because I was too embarrassed to tell somebody about it, or have friends come to our home, or share it with somebody that I trusted, because I was afraid of what they would think or think about us. And I really hope to help that stigma to disappear, that it's okay, that we really do need to talk about it, and that that's the only way that we're going to heal from these type of traumas in your life and experiences that aren't so pleasant.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that that we have made much headway. We've made so much ground, positive ground when it comes to mental health, but there's still such a long way to go. But I am glad that more and more people are not only speaking up, but they're speaking out. They're sharing their experiences. They're not allowing old mindsets or old ways of dealing with things to continue. And there's just nothing like sharing your story, because we found out with so many of the awareness days that we have here in the States, that when someone says, "Hey, did you know that it was this day?" And someone goes, "Oh my goodness, I know someone who's dealing with that," or "I have a friend, a classmate," or whatever. And you find that, wow, people are people, and we experience so much, and we're able to share and celebrate people getting from stuck to unstuck, getting over that mountain that they're dealing with. So thank you so much again, Sally, for coming on and not only talking about our topic of staying positive, and you definitely help us stay positive, but also sharing your memoirs and sharing that with the world so that we know that we no longer have to have that stigma with mental illness. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Angela. I've enjoyed our time together, and I appreciate your having me on the show. So thank you.
Absolutely. You are so welcome. And viewers, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with us today, and I thank you for doing so. I hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you again today. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Nope.